Hello and welcome to the SAP HANA Academy. My name is Dennis van Kempen, and in this video tutorial series we will discuss what's new with SAP HANA SPS 11. The topic of this video tutorial is security. Okay, so what's new? Most new features can be grouped under the theme of simplification. We will take a look at the following topics. Security administration with SAP HANA Cockpit. What we have is a new group containing a security overview and a new group for certificate management. Then there are two new features for user authentication. We can now enable the locking of the system user when a wrong password has been entered. Also, we can disable the requirement to change the password upon first logon. In the domain of encryption, there now is an automatic change of master keys. And this affects several areas. We'll take a look at that. For auditing, there are now several new actions that can be audited. We now have per-tenant certificates for multi-tenant database container web clients. 3 new security functions have been added. And there is early watch alert integration. It's a pretty long list, so let's take a look what this all means. I'm connected here to a Windows computer and I've started the SAP HANA Cockpit in a browser. If I scroll down a little bit, we'll see we have a new group here, which is called the SAP HANA Security Overview. And in it, we'll find 3 new tiles, one for network security information, one on data storage security, and a third on auditing. If you select network security information, you will be presented with a quick overview of, for example, the cryptographic provider, how the internal communication has been set up, and how the external communication has been set up. Now, most of us will not be intimately familiar with all these settings, so I will refer to the Network Security Details paragraph in the SAP HANA Administration Guide under Security Administration, and here you'll find in detail what all these settings mean. Next tile is data storage security. Here we see when the master keys for the secure storage on the file system, SSFS, has been changed, and also whether data volume encryption has been enabled. Select it to open the data volume encryption app. And then we have the auditing tile, and here we can see that auditing is on. Open it and you will see the audit policies that are active and the configuration. Now here, for example, we have 2 audit policy actives, and they show you also new audited actions that have been added to SPS 11. Create view, drop view, create procedure, drop procedure, and stop service. The next new group is certificate management. As you know, you can store SAP HANA certificates on the file system and in the database, which is the recommended approach. And using SAP HANA Cockpit, we can now easily manage those certificates. We have a certificate store that will list all our certificates, and there's an easy way to import them, either using the certificate file or by pasting the content of the PEM file here. And these certificates you can manage within a certificate collection, and I've created 2 sample collections here to bundle the different types of certificates there are. It could be SAML certificates, SAP Logon, SSL, or X509. Easy to create new collections, easy to add certificates. It's all very straightforward. The topic is documented in the SAP HANA Administration Guide, Security Administration, Managing Client Certificates in the SAP HANA database, and this also informs you of the separation of duties you can implement by allowing a different user to import certificates into the store. It will require certificate admin privileges, and by using another user which has the trust admin privileges to create collections and add certificates to those collections. Third user with user admin or SSL admin privileges can then set the collection purpose. Okay, that's the topic security administration with SAP HANA Cockpit. Next, user authentication. I'm connected here to the SAP HANA Studio and have opened the security editor here with the tab password policy. And what we see here is that By default in SAP HANA SPS 11, also the system user will be locked if a wrong password has been entered multiple times. This of course is configured here with the number of allowed failed logon attempts, and we can select the system user to be exempted from this policy, or, and again that's the default, to be included. So that's new. The other new setting is that when we create a new user, we can now select whether the user must change an initial or a reset password upon first logon. Password policy configuration options, by the way, are documented in the SAP HANA Security Guide under SAP HANA Authentication Single Sign-On topic Password Policy. And here we'll find the new parameters forced first password change, which you can also achieve using SQL, password lock for system user, and that's the third one, detailed error on connect, which if set to true will return the specific reason for the failed logon. If valid user password, user is locked, user is deactivated, or outside the validity period. For applications used internally, you often see that that type of information is provided. For public applications, mostly you want to provide as little information as possible to avoid any hacking attempts. Very good. That's user authentication. Next on our list is the topic of encryption. For this topic, there's not a lot to show, but if we just zoom in here on the What's New guide, we can read that if SSL has been enabled for internal communication in a multiple host SAP HANA system, communication between processes on the same host is now also automatically enabled, that the initial master keys of the instance secure storage on the file system and the system public key infrastructure, PKI, SSFS, are now changed automatically after installation or upgrade, and also that the procedure for changing the encryption key of the SAP HANA Secure User Store, HTTP User Store, has changed because the initial default encryption key of the Secure User Store is now also automatically changed when the first entry is created. In other words, automatic changes of the master keys. The topic of secure internal communication is covered in the SAP HANA Security Guide under SAP HANA Network and Communication Security, and changing the Secure User Store encryption key is covered in the SAP HANA Administration Guide. And here the topic is managing encryption keys under Security Administration. So that's encryption, automatic changes of the master key. Auditing we already briefly looked at, but let's switch back to our HANA cockpit. Here we have the auditing tile, and here we see the auditing events. You can configure auditing either in SAP HANA Studio using the Security Editor Auditing tab, or otherwise on the web using the Security Editor of the Web-Based Development Workbench. The editor works exactly the same way. Then three minor topics. We now have per tenant certificates for multi-tenant database container web clients. Here I will just refer to the SAP HANA Administration Guide, where the topic is documented under SAP HANA Access Administration Tools, managing HTTP access to SAP HANA for multi-tenant database containers. And here we see documented the procedure that you need to follow. Then we have the security functions, documented in the SAP HANA SQL and System Views reference. There are three new security functions. We have escape double quotes, escape single quotes, and is SQL injection safe? And that's the whole purpose of these functions, is to prevent SQL injections when using dynamic SQL. And here we see an example. Finally, we have early watch alert integration. That's for those customers using SAP Solution Manager. There were already a number of SAP notes available of how you could set this up in previous releases of SAP HANA. Now there are a number of checks delivered with the SAP Solution Manager plugin STSER 620-2051. And here we see the SAP HANA related checks listed. So if you're using SAP Solution Manager and SAP Early Watch Alerts, please check this note 863362. So much for the new features. On the SAP HANA Academy, we have a whole playlist on the topic of security. This is where you can find more information, and also, of course, in the documentation, which I've showed you in this tutorial. Security guide, administration guide, and the What's New guide. Thank you for watching this SAP HANA Academy video.